Do you want to sell all your loot in one place and with one click? Or take all the loot boxes you can find with you? Then you are in the right place. Because in this guide, we will show you the most important loot tricks and how you can sell a lot of items at once, especially FPS items. But of course, this also applies to all other physicalized items in Star Citizen. And some of these tricks you didn't know yet. Our goal is to collect as much loot as possible and pack them without any problems and sell everything at once in one place without having to travel around for a long time. We start with variant 1, although the requirements are always the same for all variants. Because we need a multi-tool with a tractor beam attachment, an FPS equipment for ground battles, and of course, loot containers. And especially the loot containers can be found at the different cargo decks of the space stations. And also, there are also multi-tools with tractor beam, or for professional looters, the max lift tractor beam. But it occupies a slot for long guns and cannot be attached to the belt. For variant 1, we take a loot container with us to a random FPS ground mission that you can find in the entire Stanton area. And of course, we go to the most lucrative or easiest missions to collect maximum loot in a second. Especially for the classic bunker missions, you should not take a loot container larger than 2 SCU with you, because otherwise you will not get it through a door. In addition, a Cutlass Red or a Pisces CHR is recommended, or a Ursa Medivac, because it brings a respawn option to the mission and you don't have to fly back in case of a fail. We place the loot container near the start of our mission and start the mission normally. That means we turn off all enemies and collect the mission objectives. And for classic bunker missions, the Defend Location and Deliver Confidential Material mission series is recommended. Because here we have an unlimited respawn, that means as much loot as you want to take with you. And since there is also a boss enemy for this type of mission, which gives you special equipment, like backpacks and so on, you have a loot of equipment here that is worth keeping and not selling. But of course, we are mainly concerned with loot that you can take with you and sell. As soon as you have entered the 4-digit access code in the console for this mission, which is also shown as a quest mark, you will receive unlimited respawn of enemies. And this respawn lasts until you have left the area with your confidential material, so the mission object itself. During the respawn waves, you can already collect the finished enemies with your tractor beam and place them near the exit. These only despawn after several minutes and you have plenty of time to pack the loot accordingly in your container. And finally, of course, we take the mission object with us in order to be able to complete the mission, be paid in addition and build up some reputation. And in order to effectively collect loot and to be able to complete the mission effectively, it is not advisable to be on your own. Because it is best to take a friend with you, because there is enough for everyone here. In short terms, more people, more loot. But the direct container method, so variant 1, has a small disadvantage, because we have to handily pack every single equipment item in our container, which takes some time. That's why we look at variant 2. This is even more effective, because here we do not transport our loot container to the mission location first and then bring it back to the ship, but leave it directly on the ship or at the location at your start, so the space station for example. For variant 2, we pack the individual enemies as usual with our tractor beam first into our ship and then move their items into our local inventory of the ship. For this, you open the inventory in the top right corner of your loot screen, so the inventory view. Now switch on your vehicle inventory or ship inventory of the left side and then drag the undersuit of your opponent directly onto your vehicle inventory. This means that everything that he has and carries is transferred to your vehicle inventory, and you do not have to pull the items over individually, so it's even faster. But before you lift off, another important note. In any case, throw every corpse out of your ship, because they still have a crime stat. And if they come close to stations, you will be shot otherwise. That means not yourself, but the corpses in your cargo hold, because they are still criminals. But if you leave these bodies at the place you find them, you have no problem and you will not be shot. And before the sale, of course, we complete the mission first. For this, we only have to hand over the confidential material at any outpost nearby. And with that, you have successfully completed the mission part, gained reputation and have the opportunity to take on more missions. But let's get to our loot. Because in order to be able to sell all your items at once, we packed them again in a box. And for this, we do not even have to have our loot container with us. Because it is enough if it's in the station's inventory, so the local inventory on site. Because as soon as we enter the unarmed area of the station, we also have access to the local station's inventory. Here we can simply place our loot container on the ground via the local inventory. This will spawn the container and we have access to it. But in this case, we have spawned a 4 SCU container in our ship, because we have also some equipment with us. Optionally, you do not even have to put the container in your ship, because we can also fill the container directly in our local inventory. That means we leave the container in the inventory and open it there, whereby we can pull all the items in here directly. But this is not entirely optimal, because here we cannot use the move all function. That means packing all items in the corresponding container with one click. Therefore, we recommend the following version. First, pull a load container into your ship, then load it and then pack it again in your station's inventory. But this often has a catch and you cannot put items in a normal interaction with the container, which means it is not possible to use the move all function or to put items in general. But don't worry, there is a variant how you can access the container, and not only this one but all containers in the game, because the container is only opened as standard. But we want to loot it. The easiest way is about the radial menu, so hold down the F key, then right mouse button and then select the loot function via your radial menu. Here you can then interact with the container and the move all function is also available. Now that we have filled our loot container and want to sell it, it is advisable to move it back into the station's inventory again, so the local inventory. For this we only have to be able to see our container in the loot menu and then we can transfer the already filled container per drag and drop onto our station's inventory. Now we can finally sell it and only need a cargo deck again. Here we find all our containers that are in the station's inventory under the sell function and on the container. Alternatively, if they are in the ship, you still have to select the ship's inventory under the source. But be careful, don't use the quick sell function, but the sell function at the bottom right. Here you will find then a list of all items that are in the containers and can also sell them with one click. And the station buys almost everything, regardless of whether the items are available there. But another note, pay attention to special items. Because usually special items have a sale price of only 1 alpha USC, for example our special armor of the boss. And here we can simply select these or items that you want to keep. But there is a disadvantage. Our loot container is also sold with it. That means we need a new one the next time. And by far the most loot and the easiest way to proceed can be found at every mission at one of the new distribution centers. Here you have a local inventory on site and don't have to bring the corpses and all the items to your ship with a tractor beam. But you can access the local inventory directly in the ship. But of course, alternatively, you can use every other FPS mission, and also a tip is the 890 jump mission. Here you have also a local inventory that you can use and some special items. And since you have problems with smaller ships, including the Catalyst Red that boxes are stuck in the ceilings, we recommend ships with a higher loading area. Here you don't have any problem storing larger SCU boxes and accordingly transferring the inventory of your ship to the loot box. But we do not have the option of a respawn function. So we can of course also invite an Ursa Medivac to larger ships, which also offers a spawn function. Here you have all you need. But let's go to the second part of the video, namely the possibility of looting the complete loot container that you can take with you to the different stations and outposts. That increases your income again and you have some nice features. Of course, we find the different loot boxes at almost every outpost in the entire Stanton system in different variants. From equipment items, armament to weapons, there is a wide spectrum. But these are not always lootable or often have the problem that we can't access them without problems. Therefore, it would be easy to simply take the entire loot box with you or move it to your local inventory on site. Because in addition, these loot boxes offer a lot of space, which we can also use. And to take a loot box directly with you, you have to open it first. Then it will be activated for you. In the second step, we go back to the loot screen and to the loot overview via the right upper corner, so the display of all inventory items nearby. And in this view, here we can also drag these boxes into our local inventory by moving our loot boxes directly. And then we can access it in the local inventory, open it and fill it. And don't worry, we can open or fill the boxes here via our local inventory at any time. And this is by far the cheapest way to get loot boxes for yourself, or you take transportable items and containers with you. And if you have any further tips in the area of looting or general 4-star citizen, please let us know in the Discord, in our daily Twitch live streams, or here in the video comments. And with that, I wish you a good loot and see you soon. And as always, I say goodbye until next time and see you in the verse. Thanks for watching.